What is good? What is good for the culture family? So, hope you guys are having a great start to your day, and I hope you guys are ready to execute today in the markets. We are going to hop right into it. We're not going to waste no time here. So, we're going to start with our gold futures chart. We're taking a look at what happened yesterday. So, what did we see happen yesterday? Well, actually, Monday we seen, or not, excuse me, not Monday, but Tuesday here, we seen an impulsive move to the downside that broke through a key low. And if we dial down to the lower time frame, we seen that we got a lower time frame rejection at that 33.13 targeted low that we were looking for, right? Going into that Tuesday's market session. Then what do we see happen from that level? Well, we started to see a corrective structure form. A corrective structure because we had an impulsive move to the downside and then a slow bullish move to the upside. What did we see yesterday specifically for our session? Well, prior to our session, we had seen this move to the downside and then that same similar rejection in our session time where price flipped and continued pushing bullish. On the lower time frame, this was indicated by a lower time frame shift. Just wasn't on the positive side of this shift yesterday in terms of being able to execute, right? We looked for a couple of different positions. I think I took 3 trades, ended up with 2 small losses and 1 break even. We ended up looking for a sell for the continuation move down. We didn't get that continuation move down. That's priced into our plan because we actually got a flip and price began to push bullish. Then which we looked to, scale in on our lower time frame here for a possible bullish continuation within these levels here on our 1 minute time frame. Just really out of sync with our entry and our exit. So our first bullish position, we got in buys right here. Price created a high, created a low, created a new high. We scaled in after the first 1 minute, pushed up, took us out at break even on that trade, was running about a 1-to-1 risk to reward before getting taken out at break even on that one. Then you can see price created a new high. We corrected back up, looked like we were about to break out again, took one more position there, took a 0.5% loss, ended up hitting our 1-to-2 target just prior to, taking us out. So just kind of out of sync with the overall structure when it was in terms of execution, but in terms of a understanding standpoint of where the markets are going and where the markets are trying to drive to, we've been all on top of that. So what do we expect coming from our previous daily candle? Well, we closed as a bullish daily candle, and it's likely that we see a bullish daily candle close here unless, and this is the only caveat to this here, is unless we see a possible shift at this area here, right? So we do have some signs of a little bit of a rejection from this level here at this this 33.60 level, but price on the lower time frame, if we just take a look at our, I don't know why this is like this. Here we go. There we go. So we just take a look at our lower time frame here within our smaller time frame structure. Price is still creating higher highs and higher lows. And how do I know that? Because if we take a look right here, we had a high get created here because it broke through this previous high. We had a low, a new high. a new higher low, or higher than our previous low, and a higher high. What did price do? It retested off of this low again. And what is it doing right here? Well, it's in between this market structure. So what would actually flip this to be bearish is a break below our previous key low, which would be here at this 33.44 levels. As of right now, I'm anticipating an overall bullish move. But what do we see happen, right? So we had an impulsive leg down, and then we have a corrective leg back up. So what do I mean by that? An impulsive leg and a corrective leg. I mean that price pushed down with volume here. We had a ton of volume on the push down, and then as we're correcting, we get 50% of the way of the correction, and we start to see, you know, for one, this push up was very, very slow in terms of a volumes perspective, and then we start to see a rejection, and now it looks like a possible flip to potentially break through this low. We have to wait to see if price actually breaks through this low, but these are early indications that the overall market structure is in fact still bearish. We had a weak bullish daily candle close, and currently our daily candle is rejecting off of this area. Now, we would anticipate that the daily candle following our previous daily would create a steeper top wick, which in fact it has already done, and we're starting to see this rejection off of this area. Keep in mind, I'm overall bullish on this market structure, right? I am overall bullish, though we have a bearish volume. We did break through a larger time frame low here, but with the war still going on, things arising in Israel and Iran, I believe that overall on our larger time frame, right, our daily, we're talking about, you know, on a weekly perspective, a daily weekly perspective, that we are still in a relative bullish trend, right? Our bullish market structure. We're just seeing a corrective structure happening here, and we're kind of slow on the lower time frame. So targets to look for coming into today, like I said, keep an eye out for that 33.44 low here. If this low gets broken, a possible shift and a continuation down. If we do see that continuation down, we'll potentially target some of these lows on the lower time frame here at like 33.35 levels. But that's if we get a shift, right? So if we get a shift, a correction, then we could look for a continued move to the downside, targeting whatever the low is that's created, more than likely, right? For our 1 to 2 risk to reward, being that this is going against what our, you know, our current trend is showing us. But if we do see this 33.44 level hold, then looking for price to definitely come back up here, target the daily high at this 33.64 levels. So you can see we just broke through this low here. So what does that confirm for me? That price is now flipping at this area, and we got a lower time frame shift. So I would come into the markets anticipating a corrective structure to form, and then a continued bearish move to the downside following this. We want to follow the volume. Our volume currently is to the downside, and this is indicated by our impulsive and then our corrective structure move. We'll look for a lower time frame move to the downside. I still want to see how these areas of interest here, like at this 33.35 or this 33.25 lows, get hold. Whether or not they hold or not, that'll, you know, kind of determine if this is pushing to the downside based on a larger time frame structure, or we're just seeing a lower time frame correction here. As of right now, we just tapped through this low, flipping this lower time frame structure here from now creating higher highs and higher lows to creating now lower lows and lower highs, flipping this lower time frame structure. We could look for a potential steeper move to the downside coming into our session. So what do we see happening for NQ? NQ, we just took out a all-time high. We had this all-time high get created yesterday. Then we corrected following the creation of that all-time high. I told you guys that a solid area to target when we're at these all-time highs are solid numbers, and I just kind of want to dial down here on the lower time frame to see just how price reacted at this solid number of this 22,500 level that was mentioned yesterday. If we dial down to our lower time frame here, this is what I mean in terms of price being at an all-time high, but then respecting and rejecting off of this key area. So you can see every time that price either pushed up through this 22,500 levels, we either came down, tested into this area, and this was just an area that price began to form some type of resistance. You can see we rejected off of it here, we pushed through, broke back up. We're kind of just sitting on it right there, rejected off of it here, rejected off of it here. Where did we actually see our flip happen yesterday on our lower time frame? Well, price had pushed through we have rejections here. We pushed back up through it, got an impulsive move up, broke back, corrected, tested perfectly, right? Because price had created higher highs and higher lows within this trend. Then it pushed back down, swept through the low, it corrected, retested that 22,500 absolutely to the dot, and then pushed down for another impulsive move to the downside. I was looking at the possible scale in play that we could have had yesterday when I was doing some back testing on this actual structure and this setup, looking for that potential 1 to 2 risk to reward. But those solid whole numbers potentially hold, right? When we're dealing with these all-time highs, these are psychological numbers that everybody can see in the markets that we can look to target in terms of areas of interest, right? So what did we see happen from yesterday? If we take a look at our daily time frame, daily candle closed extremely bullish, closing above this all-time high up here, creating a new all-time high. Then what do? We close bullish and immediately begin to fill the wick to the upside. So overall, this structure is still bullish. We just got a new high get created here. We had a low. We had our low, then we had our high get broken. This becomes our key low. As long as price, it can correct to the downside here, but overall, we're bullish bias for this continuation, looking for a potential target back up to the highs at this 22,588 levels. Right now, we got some bearish volume in the market, so we would need to see a shift, and we actually have a lower time frame bearish shift, right? So price had created a high, created a low, created a new high, created a new low, higher low, higher high. Then we just swept through these lows here. We took out our all-time high. This is an indication that a possible corrective structure can form, right? We got the volume, and then we have the structure. We just want to see that structure continue to the downside potentially before we get an overall larger time frame flip back bullish to take out this 22,584 high. So overall, targets to look for today, I'm still bullish biased on Nas and NQ, looking for that 22,588 highs. I think we could target a solid number of 22. Really, these 22,600 levels is probably the likely target of where price goes on the larger time frame before we see some overall rejection. But as of right now, lower time frame targets, if we take a look, we are in a bearish trend. So if price does hold this high here at this 22,585 high, because we just had this lower time frame shift, then we can anticipate a target low of this area here at this, what is this 22,520 levels. Now, why I'm anticipating that price is likely just going to push bullish, because this is an immense rejection off of this area here. Though we had this push down, we did have an immense rejection, and this is what we've seen happen for gold time and time again this week. This type of rejection and then an overall flip. And plus, generally speaking, the NASDAQ is inverse of what gold is running. So if we're expecting gold to make a steeper move to the downside, we would expect the NQ, the NASDAQ, to make a steeper move up. We have the signs of rejection. Price did form a lower time frame shift, but our overall time frame is bullish. And in our daily candle, we're anticipating this daily candle to close bullish, right? So even if this daily closes bullish, we would anticipate the next daily to break the current daily high. So price would have to push all the way down here to this 22,461 level in order to flip this daily candle to being bearish, and it's just not likely, right? We would need a lot of volume, a lot of bearish volume in order to push this and flip this overall structure. I just don't think it's likely that we see that flip. So we can look for a solid target of our current day high at this 22,585 levels, and then look for price to potentially push up and gravitate towards this 22,600 level as well. Coming in today for the market session. So let's go to Dow Jones here. Dow Jones, same thing. If you take a look here, previous daily for Dow Jones actually closed as a bearish daily candle. And it actually had a steeper move to the downside than we've seen for NQ. But like I said, this lower time frame structure kind of flipped from being creating lower lows and lower highs to creating higher highs and higher lows. We had a larger time frame rejection off of this area here. And it's just likely that, even just with our structure, though it closed as a bearish daily candle yesterday, we had a high get created, a low, a higher high, then price comes down and creates this low here. We have the same type of rejection that we've seen before we broke our previous high. It's likely that we see this continued bullish move to break through this high at this 43.51 level, 515 levels. Lower time frame, We just swept through these lows, but like I said, with NQ just getting immediate rejection following the sweep of those lows, this is a sign that price is in fact still bullish, and our larger time frame has indicated that we're bullish, right? So we could look for a potential day high break. We do have some resistance here at 43,471 level, so looking for a target of 43,471, especially if we break this 43,44 high. Here, it's likely that we target this area, and we could potentially start to target this this high here at 43,515 as well. Taking a look here at the ES. ES is just dancing at this all-time high. You see we just barely broke through. We had this high here. We just barely broke through with the current daily. You can see we're forming some type of resistance at this area, but like we said, overall we're bullish on this market. Price did in fact, after taking out this high, we got that little rejection, but as long as price doesn't break through this 6,131 lows, because that is our key low. Why? Because we created a high, a low, a new high, which now makes this the key low. We form a correction, create a new high, that makes this the key low. It broke through that low. Now what we want to see, a flip and then a continuation break, right? But we didn't see that happen. Instead, it broke through the key high that took out our previous key low and flipped the price back bullish. So we flipped, we was bullish, flip bearish. Let's see if that bearish sentiment holds. No, it doesn't. We break through the high. This becomes now the key low. So as long as this 6131 low isn't broken, then we can anticipate that price will in fact continue pushing bullish. And just overall, the market structure is bullish. We had this high get broken, and then we just see this immense rejection following this impulsive move to the downside. Like I said, this will likely follow with what NQ does as well. So if we do see this 61.71 high broken, then we could look for a potential continuation for price to, break through these highs. As of right now, lower time frame has shifted bearish, so we need to see this shift back bullish in order for us to be interested. But I think this 6170 levels is a likely target to get broken. Then we could see a correction and a possible continued bullish move, right? I don't anticipate that this current daily closes bearish, and even if this daily even if we do see a correction for the rest of the day, it's likely that the next daily goes ahead and breaks through that current daily high, right? So just really want to be patient. Larger time frame is indicating a bullish market structure. Our lower time frame, we would just want to make sure that we were waiting for our confirmation, our lower time frame confirmation, in order to execute on that. If we do see this low here, this wick get filled and this low broken again, then that confirms that price is in fact shifting from being bullish now to being genuinely bearish. But we would need to see this wick filled to the downside and get that low broken. Why? Because this wick is a sign of an immense rejection, and we have our larger time frame just being bullish. So we don't want to go against our larger time frame direction. We just want our lower time frame to confirm first what our direction is going to be. Our larger time frame is pushing bullish, so we're going to look for buys. But if our lower time frame confirms sells, this could be an early indication of a steeper corrective structure to form, and we'll just look for our correction based trade for a 1 to 2 risk reward. Is it likely? I'm anticipating a steeper move up, right? But it is possible. So you just got to keep that in mind. So in terms of targets to look for and targets to keep an eye out for, is this 61.57 levels. You get a break through that low, expect a steeper move to the downside. But if you get the break of this 61.70 levels, which is more likely to happen, then expect a continued bullish move, price to form a high. And then we would look to target, solid numbers. We would target probably this, whatever the high is that gets created. If we get a steep correction down, we could just target whatever the high is that gets created. Or we can target, if we're close to our key psychological levels, we'll target this 61.80 levels, which is a nice whole number that we can look to target. So this is what I'm looking for today in the markets. Let's take a look here at what gold is doing. Gold broke through that low. Yeah, expecting a steeper move down here for gold as we just broke through this low. We got a lower time frame correction that just appeared to happen here. So we had our low get created, our high, a lower low, lower high. If price breaks through this low, that confirms that it is in fact in a downtrend. That's what I mean by that lower time frame shift. Then we can look for a continued scale move to the downside for gold as well. And like I said, these generally, gold is inversely of, our other indices of NASDAQ, Dow Jones, US 30, and the S&P 500. So we can expect, if gold is pushing down, that these are more than likely to potentially push up. And with the signs of rejection that we have, and the overall market volume, it is likely that this closes bullish. So we're gonna keep an eye on gold here today. This is the pair that I like to trade the most. It's probably the only pair that I've been trading for the past 3 weeks now, just solely focusing on gold, and it's treated us nicely. We took a small loss yesterday, but we're still up, I believe, about $4,000 just in the past just in the past week. So, you know, losses happen, we adjust, and then we execute. And I explained, kind of how the loss happened yesterday. We just had a lower time frame shift, right? We were creating lower lows and lower highs within this structure, wanted to see that continuation to the downside, didn't quite get that. We shifted, and then we looked for our buys, and just slightly out of sync with our buys here, with one hitting us out at break even after running about a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward. We had this here. So took a buy here with a stops below this low, trailed very tightly. You can see we was running about a 1 to 1.5 before price, then again just ripped and flipped on us, taking us out at break even. Then we seen a new high get created. We wanted to see a corrective structure to form. Price didn't break through the key low, which was this is what I mean when I say we were just out of sync with timing, because we had a high, then we had a low, right? So that flips the lower time frame structure. But then we had a new high get created that broke our previous key high. So it's like, okay, we are still bullish. We had a corrective structure form. We went ahead and took buys off of this area here, anticipating that continued bullish push. We just could not get it. Even though price created this high here, it didn't break through our previous key low, which was the start of this high break. We were looking for that 1 to 2 risk to reward. It just didn't quite get it. Got taken out, and then you can see how price began to continue to run to that 1 to 2 risk to reward. Just unfortunate, but that's kind of what happens, and that's priced into our strategy, right? So despite taking the small L's yesterday, we're still in profits a lot on this account here. So that's good, right? That's how we execute, and we'll look to continue to execute based on our strategy and our system here today in our VIP session. So for those of you in our VIP, you guys know that we will be live at 9:30. The email has already been sent out to you guys, and I will send out another link in the VIP Telegram as well. For those of you, you can join up there. You'll start to learn through these sessions how the markets begin to move and how we can execute based off of understanding how to read price action, market structure, and going forward. So appreciate everybody who tapped in, and I will see you guys, if not in the VIP, I'll see you guys tomorrow.